Hello and good Friday. Welcome into BLEAV in Purdue. I am Sam Sprunger. I'm by myself today because we had announced earlier this week and yesterday that Mike DeCourcy of Fox Sports, Big Ten Network, and the Sporting News was going to join us today, but a scheduling conflict prevented that from happening this week. But Mike will be with us next week on Wednesday. Uh, uh, better later than not at all. But some things arose today that he couldn't join us. Grant is on. He runs. Grant runs track at college, so he's at a meet. So you get just me today, and it's going to be a quick Friday morning hitter today because there's a little bit I wanted to talk about on Tuesday. Jalen Rose, the Peacock analyst, Jalen Rose, formerly of the Fab Five, and in Indiana Pacers. And then he was with ESPN for many years. I made a comment about Matt Painter, and I wanted to kind of address what he said and whether I agree with his take, and kind of go from there and see what you guys feel like as well. But Jalen Rose during uh, a segment, excuse me, during the game, addressed the program overall, I guess, and what Matt Painter's done. And he said he's done a great job. That's what he does. He recruits people that fit into the program and that will fit what he envisions his program being and going forward. And it's worked to this point. But at some point, that Matt Painter was going to have to reach into the pockets and start paying his players uh, or pay players to come to Purdue if he wanted to continue to be successful as he has started to become. And uh, I don't know that I can agree with Jalen Rose on this, and it's not because I've not ever really been a fan of Jalen Rose, which I haven't, and I've never hidden the fact that I am not a huge fan of Jalen Rose, but that might be because at the point where he uh, played college basketball, it was during a time that I was a teenager and getting really into really following Purdue basketball, and he was part of the enemy, you know. But uh, I'm not necessarily upset with the comment that he made. I just don't know that I can agree with the fact that at some point he's just got to start dipping into the portal and start paying for one and dones to come to West Lafayette to be able to be successful. And the biggest example that I can kind of pull off of this is look at Cannon Catchings. Grant and I talked about this a little bit a couple of days ago. That when Cannon Catchings decided he was going to um, ask for his release out of his letter of intent because Matt Painter wouldn't promise him playing time. That right there to me is kind of the line drawn. Painter drew the line and said, "This is us. It's not about one person individually. It's about the program, and it's about moving us forward the way we envision it, not the way just you envision it." And that Cannon Catchings is a good ball player. He came in highly touted, was a 5-star recruit that was a big catch by no pun intended, big catch for Matt Painter, because Matt Painter doesn't get 5 stars many times. He doesn't get the highly touted, the high rated players. And Jalen Rose said something about darn well that Ace Bailey or Dylan Harper, either of those guys wanted to come to Purdue. He knows they're one and done. You're not telling me he wouldn't take those guys. And I'm not saying he wouldn't go after a one and done. He definitely, if the person fits into the style of play and the overall context of what Matt Painter wants in a program, in his program, if the one and done fits, he's going to take him. Yes, absolutely. I don't disagree with that, but I don't think he's going to sell his soul in order to win games. And that is something. 5 stars, 4 stars. Matt Painter makes his living off of taking 3 stars and developing them into what some would say a 5-star. Zach Edey was not a 5-star recruit coming into college. He was a very unknown entity when he came into Purdue, and he turned into a 2-time National Player of the Year while at Purdue. And so I can't necessarily just get behind the blanket statement that eventually Matt Painter's going to have to dip into the pockets and pay for players to come or get into the portal and start getting those top players in the portal. Matt Painter does go into the portal. He does. He's done it. Lance Jones, one of the biggest pieces of the Final Four team last year, he's a portal guy. He's a one year guy with the Boilers. That's what he looks. He looks for supplement. He doesn't look for, okay, let's rebuild our roster with the portal. He recruits people that fit into he recruits guys that are going to stay for 3 or 4 years at least. And excuse me. And it's a matter of getting a person that understands what Matt Painter wants. He wants a guy that's going to work hard and be part of the team that can get to the point where they're in place to win a Big Ten championship. And he's been there for 20 years. He's 20 years in. So you're telling me that all of a sudden after 20 years, yes, I understand NIL has only been around for a few years. The portal's only been around for a few years. But at the same time, he's developed developed the program into something that isn't necessarily built to rebuild every year. It might take a year to build into what he's hoping that the team turns into, but he brings in the small pieces to supplement those to get that. I the year before Zach Edey's first National Player of the Year season, there was I can't remember the name of the player, but David Jenkins. Thank you. David Jenkins was brought in, and he was in the place where Lance Jones was last year, but 2 years ago. And he did a good job. He was there to guide Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer and help be that extra guard that came in. And then after Jenkins graduated, they brought Lance Jones in to do the same thing. It was essentially the same roster, except for switch Jenkins out for Lance Jones. And that's what Matt Painter does with the portal. That's what Matt Painter does with a building of a winner. Is he sets the foundation with his recruiting, and he takes the guys that a lot of people may not know or may not really bank on being a top recruit, and he turns them into a wonderful team. And I'm preaching to the choir here, and I know this, but Jalen Rose needs to really think about it before he just spouts off at the point of, well, he's going to have to dip into. No, he doesn't. Players at Purdue are going to make money. When they get to West Lafayette, they're going to make money. It's just a matter of, are they going to stick around and build something with Matt Painter and the rest of the roster? And Jalen Rose is really missing the mark as an analyst if he doesn't know that, seeing that Matt Painter's been around for a day or two. And it's really frustrating that you've just automatically got to say, well, he's got to. You know, like it doesn't necessarily ring true, as to what it's going to require in the future. Is he going to have to maybe dip into the portal a little bit more as Purdue sees more and more success? Maybe, but will he want to? I think Matt Painter is enough of a stubborn, and I mean this in a good way, enough of a stubborn coach that he's going to be okay with saying, this is the way I'm building it. I'm not going to change it unless I have to. And as long as he's seeing some success and a roster that's building something towards, even if it's 2 years down the road, I can see the vision. We're going to add something to it, recruit-wise, maybe even a portal guy, and see what we catch this year. We're going to have one supplement guy from the portal. If it works, great. If it doesn't, you know what? We'll see what happens next year. And all the time, he's going to be recruiting on top of it. It's definitely something that I don't think Jalen Rose, having come from Michigan and knowing what Michigan had to do to get to the point where they're at today, or right now, you know, they're coming into West Lafayette today to play Purdue with a roster that looks completely different from what it did last year. And that's okay. It's from the portal. There are some recruits in there, but for mostly it's the portal that helped them turn into what they are this year. And maybe that's why Jalen Rose says that. I'm not really sure. But it's a frustrating thing to have a guy go national TV and start talking about basically tearing down everything that Matt Painter has built and saying, well, it's fine to this point, but going forward, he's just going to have to start doling out money. That's not how everybody does it. And you know what? I'm of the firm belief that if we can win Big Ten championships, I'm not going to be as upset if there are not as many Final Four runs in Matt Painter's career. I would rather see building a very respectful and strong program to where you're year in and year out competing for a Big Ten championship. And hey, you know what? If you catch lightning in a bottle and you can get to the Final Four, fantastic. I want that every year. But if it doesn't happen, but they get a Big Ten championship, I'm okay with that too. I really am. And I think that's from growing up in a Gene Cady program to where he was always competing, it seemed, year in and year out for a Big Ten championship, and he never made it to a Final Four. And is that a travesty for his career? Yeah, I think it is. But at the same time, I'm not saying he was a failure by any means, not any stretch of the mind at all. So I think it's a Jalen Rose needs to kind of step back and just let Matt Painter be Matt Painter, just like he wouldn't tell Tom Izzo he needs to start changing neither. Tom Izzo's won, gotten to Final Fours, won national championship. You know, he's got a resume that's better than Matt Painter's right now. But you know, at the same time, I'm pretty happy with what we've got going on in West Lafayette. We're going to take just a quick break for the audio podcast, and I'll come back with some closing final thoughts before we sign off for the weekend. So we'll be right back after these messages. You're listening to Believe in Purdue on the Lounge Sports Network and the BLEAV Network. All right. Finally, just wrapping up everything. The Boilermakers take on Michigan tonight at Mackey Arena. Then after tonight, and Grant and I both really feel that this is going to be a difficult matchup for Purdue. But it's at the same time, after a game like they played against Ohio State, we don't normally see two back-to-back games of that type of output. So, while the game against Ohio State was disappointing, the result was definitely disappointing, wasn't expected, and it was disappointing. We expect a bounce back game tonight against the Wolverines. We both think that Purdue comes out with the win, and ESPN is predicting, the predictor says, I believe it's 69.3%. or 64.9%. I don't remember exactly. It's in the high 60s of Purdue winning. So the ESPN predictor believes that too. But after that, Purdue gets a week off. They get a week off before they host IU next Friday at Mackey Arena to wrap up the 3-game home streak or home stand that they have on their schedule before they go on the road for a couple of games, and the schedule doesn't get easy for Purdue, so they really need a big output tonight from their guys against the Wolverines. It's going to be an interesting and kind of a high tension game to watch the Boilermakers take on Michigan this evening. So thanks so much for letting me kind of vent about Jalen Rose. Again, I can't say that maybe I don't understand what he's saying, but at the same time, I don't understand what he's saying about Matt Painter. That's the problem I have is for 20 years, Matt Painter's done it this way and has done pretty darn well with it being this way. And just to put that blanket statement of, well, he's going to have to empty the pockets, just doesn't make sense, doesn't ride well with me. And you know what? I fully expect Matt Painter to kind of set that to the back burner. It's a non-issue, I'm sure, for Matt Painter, and that's fine. I'll make it an issue for me, and we'll go from there. But thanks so much for tuning in today, this Friday, for Believe in Purdue. We'll be back Monday with a reaction to the Michigan game, and then we'll on Wednesday, like I said, Mike DeCourcy of college Fox Sports and the Big Ten Network and the Sporting News will be on to talk about Purdue and their bracket prediction of where he's got them at right now. Currently, he has them at a 2 seed. That's or a 3 seed after the loss to Ohio State, but that's not a bad seed right now, seeing that the team already has 5 losses. And that's what they ended the season with last year. So Mike DeCourcy on Wednesday. Monday, we'll have the reaction to the Michigan game. And then Friday, we'll have the preview of the IU game. Again, thanks so much for joining me today on Believe in Purdue. I'm Sam Sprunger, and I'll see you next week.